Hey there, it's Jen from the College Place, Oregon. And today we're going to talk about financial aid specifically for folks who have experienced foster care. And so what I'm going to do is kind of run you through some resources that maybe you didn't know existed, and maybe you did. But the biggest reason that we're doing this today is to just raise awareness. So even if you yourself are not a foster youth or a former foster youth, pay attention. Often folks who are in the foster system or were in the foster care system don't talk about their experiences. But if you know of anybody who does need additional help, I really, really want you to refer them to me. And I am really happy to help them. Okay, so let me get my screen ready to share. And I'm going to start here. So the first thing to know about students who have experienced foster care is that, where did it go here? I'm looking right after it. At least one of the following. Okay, so what is missing? What is not completely spelled out on this page? Sorry for that. I thought it was. And maybe it is, and I just can't see it. Anyone who has spent time in the foster care system on or after their 13th birthday is considered independent for purposes of financial aid. And this is true even if they're only maybe in the foster care system for a day, if they've been reunited with their family, if they've been adopted into a different family, if they've become an emancipated minor, if they're living with siblings, all that really matters is that for at least one day you were in the foster care system. At that point, we consider you to be an independent student for purposes of financial aid, which means that you'll have access to, federal and state grants specifically for students that have financial need. Now, here in Oregon, in addition to the federal and state need-based grants, we have separate programs to help specifically foster youth and former foster youth. And I want to talk about two of them really quick. The first one is a tuition and fee waiver for foster youth and for former foster youth. Unlike the FAFSA, where we're only talking maybe a day in the foster care system, here, in order to receive a tuition waiver, the student needs to have been in the foster system for at least 1 year, somewhere between their 16th and their 21st birthdays. And then you enroll in higher education within 3 years of leaving foster care or receiving your high school diploma or your GED, whichever one comes first. And so the reason for this tuition waiver is that even with federal and state financial aid, those often will cover tuition and fees and then leave nothing for living expenses. And for folks who have been in the foster care system, they don't necessarily have that same depth of family and financial resources that other students do. So while receiving federal and state grants to cover tuition is helpful, it still leaves them with a real struggle to cover living expenses. So the idea behind Oregon's tuition waiver is that if we can, kind of take care of the tuition and fees, then we could use our federal and state grants and our student loans and our scholarships towards living expenses. And that makes it not only more doable for students who have been in the foster care system, but more equitable. It kind of gets them up to, that same level of support or near that same level of support as students who haven't been in the system. So you can see here that you apply by, applying for financial aid, you complete at least 30 hours of community service, and the Department of Human Services is going to be the one that sends you an official notification that you're eligible. So please take advantage of this. And again, like anything involving college and financial aid, sometimes the paperwork can be a bit much. So that's why I exist. I am here to help you with any of these processes. Now, in addition to the tuition waiver, we also have federal funding from the Chafee Education and Training Grant, and we used to call it a education and training voucher. What this is federal money that's been set aside and it's brought in. So each state's a little bit different in how we treat this. But these are funds that are here, again, to support students who have been in the foster care system. So you either are currently in foster care or you were in foster care prior to your 18th birthday. You need to be younger than 25, and you were in foster care in the system for at least 180 days, which is 6 months. And that occurred after your 13th birthday, and that you were leaving the foster care system if you were able to leave after you turned 14. So again, a little bit more, you've got to really think about it. And sometimes the hardest thing is getting the documentation together. So here we've got through OSAC, which you might remember from scholarships. It's the same application portal as you used to apply for Oregon Promise, apply for OSAC scholarships. Now we'll be using it to apply for that Chafee education grant. So again, now we've got you're independent for purposes of financial aid for federal and state aid. We've got a tuition waiver if you qualify. Now we've got additional Chafee support if you qualify for that. So again, we're really, really trying to give you as much financial support as we can. In addition to support with financing in college, oftentimes for students who are aging out or who are leaving foster care, that transition to becoming a young adult, we just need some more support around that. So here in the state of Oregon, we have a lot of providers of something called an ILP, or an independent living program. This is where we really help you gain the skills that you need to gain in order to be self-sufficient. And it sounds goofy when I say it, but it could be something as basic as cooking nutritional food, coming up with a household budget, learning to do your laundry, preparing to be able to rent a place on your own. So there's a lot of different things that are going on. So we've got a lot of financial support for you. Now we're going to try to provide you some additional support, more of that holistic wraparound. Now I'm going to pick on PCC because I used to work at PCC and I'm really familiar with what they offer. So PCC, it's interesting because often when you've experienced foster care, it's just not something that you talk about or disclose. So PCC is always trying to help identify and figure out which students have been in foster care, been in the system, and then try to provide extra support for them. And in fact, we have a whole network of folks on each PCC campus that have identified as people that really, really want to help foster youth navigate this educational system. So we've got several different programs in addition to just, helpful people. And so like this one, PDX Bridge, we've got, success coaching. So ILP is going to help you with kind of how to figure out, how to be an adult. This PCC Bridges is going to help you figure out how to be a successful college student. So again, we're just really, really trying to get you resources to help level the playing field, make sure that you know the type of support that's out there for you, and make sure that you know how to access that support. So, and again, I am always, always here, and I'm really, really happy to work with programs such as, the ones at PCC, this PDX Bridge, and others that are going to help students make that transition from high school into education after high school. And then lastly, Foster Club is just one of my favorite resources. And so if you're not already aware of them, go to fosterclub.com. They are really fantastic, and they're actually Oregon-based, even though they serve students all over the country. So, and they have these Foster Club All-Stars. And this is just fantastic program. And what it does is it just really, it's a program not to just help you, become a young adult and a successful young adult, but to really work on your personal development, your professional development, We just want to make sure through programs like this that you've got that self-confidence that you should have, that you deserve to have, and that we're doing everything that we can to help make you see how fantastic and worthy you are. So this is what I have for you today. This is not by any means an exhaustive list, but I just want to make sure that you know there are financial resources. There are like that adulting, the business of adulting resources. There are academic resources. And then we have, personal and professional development resources for you. So again, if you find that you or anyone you know has experience in the foster care system and you need just a little extra help, that's why I'm here. So please reach out to me. If for whatever reason you're like, yeah, I'm never going to reach out to Jen for anything, feel free to reach out to me and say, I need help, but not from you. Who can you put me in touch with? That doesn't bother me at all. My goal is to just make sure that you are supported and successful. So have a great weekend, and I will be here. Thanks for tuning in.